Welcome to Beyond the Policy, the podcast where we go past the fine print and into the real stories that shape how we live, work, and protect what matters most. I'm Matt Karaffa, risk advisor, consultant, and founder of the Be Better Foundation, where each week sit down with clients, colleagues, and industry voices to talk about business, life, and the passions that drive each of us and the areas we can all work on to truly be better. This is Beyond the Policy. Welcome to Beyond the Policy. Excited we have Brandy with Best Fit CFO here to chat with us. So thanks for taking the time to come out. So for the audience, just tell us a little bit about you, where you've been and what you're up to.
Yeah, my name's Brandy Best. I run a fractional CFO firm based in Bowling Green, Ohio, but we work with clients all over the United States. We offer several different services in the accounting and finance space. So we do some of the traditional compliance, accounting, and tax returns, but we're also really big into fractional CFO, which is business finance for smaller businesses that normally can't afford a full-time CFO, but they need those same types of oversight. And so we've really found our niche in that space.
Got it. So if we take just a little bit of time, fractional CFO, someone who can't afford a full-time position, is there any certain types of industry that your services best fit with, or is it pretty much anyone that just fits that mold of maybe kind of in between growth or, before they get to that level, or what's the best?
Yeah, so I work with several different industries. I've found myself in a lot of real estate investors just because that's kind of a group we've got into is small businesses, but big on the real estate investing side, and just a niche there, working with a lot of them. But then other service providers, some of them are all still kind of related to the real estate industry, where they're coaching real estate investors, or we have an attorney that mostly serves real estate investors. But it's not just that. We have other service providers, kind of in the healthcare industry, other different types of coaches. So really just kind of across the board, service-based businesses is kind of more so.
So if you, let's say, one of those industries you mentioned, they pick up the phone, they sounds good, I could use help in that. Your first 30-minute, 60-minute meeting with them, what one or two questions are you asking that business to see, like, can I really help you? Mm-hmm. Like, what's one or two go-to questions that you're trying to understand when you first meet with that business?
It's really figuring out what their pain point is. Usually they're not reaching out for this type of service until they've experienced some pretty big pain. Generally, so just for like kind of size reference, for actual CFO services, someone's probably going to be doing at least $1 million annually in revenue and upwards from there. Kind of the sweet spots in like around 3 million is where they're starting. If they haven't brought someone in yet, they're going to have a really hard time growing past that. So just figuring out what their pain point is. Usually, a lot of times they'll just say, like, I don't understand if I'm making money, or I get some reports, but I don't know what they mean, or they're really late, or my accountant talks to me, but they don't give me any insights or advice, or I don't understand what they're saying. So we kind of play that interpreter role and help them really understand. And usually there's a lot of broken processes that we come in and help fix.
Yeah, with whether it be looking at a financial report or whatever, but just for context, someone listening, like, what would be a blind spot in a business that you had, I don't know if I'm making money, I'm paying bills and, that seems to be good, but when you look at something you're asked, what would be 2 or 3 blind spots that you are able to point out or help your clients?
A lot of times, small dollars add up really fast. So one really easy blind spot that we always uncover, like day one, is subscriptions. A lot of these businesses just load up, you sign up for something, you forget, a free trial, whatever, nobody's using it, nobody's looking. You might see a line item. Even if you are looking at any financials, you probably just see a line item on there like, yep, these are my subscriptions. But we dive into the details and we show you what you've been paying for on a trended basis. And they've never looked at that before usually, and that's just one of the first really easy things. Like, no one's using that. Cancel this, cancel this, cancel that. That's a big one. Other big ones are just like sometimes people just have fraud on credit cards and they don't even realize things happen. So if they're not looking at those details, someone else pointing it out like, hey, this is an anomaly, they don't even realize it. So
Got it.
we've found a lot of those things too.
Yeah, good. And then I assume with the term fractional, you're not having daily meetings with these businesses. So what does it look like from a timing thing? If they're in that 1 to 3 million type revenue business, how often are you talking to them?
Yeah, so formally we sit down twice a month that we meet. So one time for 90 minutes, and that's our real deep dive strategy call. And then we always do what we call a check-in towards the end of the month, 30 minutes with the client and see where are things shaping up. If we're working on a project, what's the status update, anything we need from the client. But those are just the formal meetings. So a lot of times we are touching base throughout the month. Either we have questions what we're working on, or myself or someone on my team is meeting with someone on their team trying to work through a project or a process. So 2 formal meetings, but a lot of kind of just in between back and forth conversations go on.
Yeah, and I think obviously you're having some success growing your business over the last couple of years, but let's take a step back to you haven't always been the owner of Best Fit CFO, so maybe share your history of what you did, your first job professionally, what you did for years prior.
Yeah, so I was a corporate accountant in finance for about 12 years. So I spent 8 years working for Marathon, both at their corporate office in Findlay and quite a long time at a refinery in Detroit. I think that was a different experience for a small hometown Tiffin girl, but I loved it there. Very accounting based, everything I was doing, working with people in the field, that was awesome. Then I took myself to corporate. I did corporate tax and overall business reporting for Marathon, and then I left there and went up to Owens Corning in Toledo at the headquarters there, and I spent 4 years there in business finance. Loved those roles. I worked with sales guys in one business for a couple years, and then I was the finance leader for insulation, global insulation, for a couple years before I decided to start my own thing back in 2021.
Yeah. Would Best Fit CFO be where it is today without those 12 or so years in the corporate world and with that experience?
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, I maybe would be doing like real heavy tax and accounting, and I would have burnt myself out for sure probably by now already. No, all of my experience there, I bring that into my clients. So it's like bringing that, Fortune 500, Fortune 50 business finance experience down to these very small businesses. And I think it's so valuable. I know how they do it, and so we can do it in a different way. It doesn't have to be as corporate-y, but what are the things we should look at? What are the things we should measure? Let me help you come up with a sales, like a salesperson pay, like compensation package, and how to measure some of those things like that.
Yeah. What advice would you give, someone who's maybe not stuck in the right work, because a lot of people do it and there's a lot of value that those people bring to those roles, but if someone maybe is feeling, man, I could do this on my own, or what was the thing that pushed you over the edge to said, I can do it, I'm going to do it, here we go?
Yeah, I'd say just take the risk and jump. That's not normal nature for an accountant at all, not risk takers. So I'd say I lean more towards the finance side than accountant from that personality perspective. But what really kind of pushed me over was the COVID timeframe. Just starting to work from home all the time was great at first, but then I used to say, like, we worked hard before. We worked hard and we played hard. There was always Friday happy hours, things like that. I missed that social interaction once it was like all just work hard. So I think that started weighing on me, and then it started weighing on me realizing how much I was working and not spending time with my kids. And I have my story I always tell is my son, who I think he was about 8 at the time. He wanted me to tuck him in for bed, and he came down to my office at the house and was like, hey, can you go tuck me into bed or whatever. I'm like, I will in a minute. I'm trying to finish this board deck. It's super important. I keep working on it. And then he comes downstairs and brings his pillow and blanket and lays beside me in my office because I'm still not going up. And then all of a sudden I realize, I look down, it's 11 p.m. and my kid's asleep on the floor in my office. And I was like, holy shit, like something needs to change. This is just not okay. And so that's when I just started dreaming, like, what can I do on my own? And then it just kind of came about. I took a big risk.
What for time frame? That moment slept on the floor till Best Fit CFO filed, up and running. How long ago?
Yeah, I'm not really positive, but probably from the time that I started thinking about this till when I did it was probably only 6 months. And again, not normally a risk taker, but I just, I believed in myself. I think that in my work ethic, I've always been a really hard worker, hustler, knew I would figure it out, and knew I had the skill set. I was very well liked in the corporate, left on very good terms. Yeah. Had been doing the tax return for, someone in HR there and everything. So I just knew that if it didn't work out, I could go back. I could get a job.
It's not a huge safety net because you'd have to, there'd be things you have to do, but it wouldn't be out on the street.
I had a savings account. It went away pretty quickly in the first 2 years, but I knew I had that. My husband had a job and benefits. That also made things easier. Sure. I know that not everyone has that, so yeah.
Now, if we take a step, obviously those kind of your professional journey, obviously being in town and being involved in the community on a lot of different boards, and you help a lot of different things out that take your time, and we're always trying to work better, be better at certain things, whether it's time management or anything. But with being involved where you are, what drives you to help some of those other groups that you're a part of?
I think it's really just giving back, and I've always been someone that says, kind of be part of the change, not part of the problem. So you never want to complain about something if you're not going to be the one willing to help put in the effort to help either make the things go properly, make the decisions, whatever it is. So I've served on a lot of boards for a lot of years, giving back, sometimes too much, and I don't say no enough, but it always gives me a sense of pride. It helps me connect with different people. That's like part of what I enjoy doing about it. I've met so many people in this small community, not being from here at all, in a very short time. I met a lot of people, and I really enjoy that.
And I will say, from a standpoint of the Be Better Foundation, Brandy is our treasurer of the group, and vital part to what we're doing in our first year mission. So when we asked for you to be a part of that, obviously we were hoping you'd say yes, but what was your why of kind of knowing from the ground level what we were trying to do with the foundation, and maybe why you said yes? Yeah,
I think some of it is, for one, just the name, Be Better, make your community better. That's a big part of it. And I really do like the mission of helping people in your own community and people that need those mentors. So again, it's being part of the change, and you don't want to just complain about the problem, just help make it all better, everything better.
Yeah, and I think that's what we talk about at the foundation level, I think all in a capacity of our own work environment, how can we be better for our clients, I would assume. You carry that over into that. So if we tie it back into Best Fit CFO, when they hire you, they're for a reason. They don't know what they don't know.
Yep.
So when you come in and kind of bring that mindset of I'm here to help you, what's success look like from there? Is it strictly growing the bottom line, or how else would someone be able to view success for their company, working with you?
I mean, ultimately, it's, as we're going in and been working with you for a little while, you're making data-driven decisions. So you're not just flying by the seat of your pants. If you make this decision, here's what the outcome should be, whether that's dialing up marketing spend and you see it in the sales, or you're setting your price based on knowledge, not feel, all of those things. And it's just a really good understanding. A lot of times when we first come in, people don't even understand just what's going on. So for the first probably at least 6 months, it's like, oh gosh, we didn't know that. Let me make some just changes here. And then after that, then you're thinking more strategically, longer term, a lot of processes. So we could get into some of those examples, but there's just random things that you wouldn't realize that people just don't have line of sight to making a couple $1 million a year.
And I think we see in a lot of different businesses, a lot of people are driven by passion, to start their manufacturing or to start their, whatever type of service business they're in is from passion. And the business side of what you provide is kind of, I'll figure that out later. This is what I'm doing. They don't really know the business side of it. So if there were, I'm sure there's a bunch, but 2 or 3 metrics that if you were to tell every business owner look at these 2 to 3 things in your business as a start, what would they be?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's ratio. So number one to me is, I've talked about it a couple times here, and people are always talking about top line. So that's revenue and how much money you're bringing in, but that really doesn't mean anything if you're not keeping it. So it's looking at that bottom line. What's your margin percent? So depending on the type of business, there's different percentages that we would like to see. Are you very service heavy and you don't have a lot of cost of goods to provide your service, then we should see a lot higher percentage. So that's just number one, because like, how much money are you keeping, right?
Probably important to everybody.
Yeah, important to everyone.
Yeah.
And then after that, we're going to look at, what's kind of your accounts receivable, and what do people owe you? Are you getting paid? Those types of things. But then deeper, every business, it's really different what we're going to look at. So do you have reoccurring revenue? Kind of what's that benchmark for it? Are we growing it? Marketing, depending on how heavy they are in marketing, there's percentages we'd like to see that your marketing's this X percent of revenue, and if it's getting too high, then you probably have either you're not doing the right kind of marketing, or your sales team probably isn't converting right. So you look into those depending on the type of business, and it helps point out where some problems are that you need to go after.
Yeah, that makes sense. So very good. Thanks for sharing that. As we kind of wrap up here and talk about if one question I always like asking people, you've talked about your past with corporate finance and what you do now. If it wasn't one of those two fields, what would Brandy be doing?
And if it didn't matter how much money I made.
Sure, let's do that. Yeah.
Some sort of coach of something, anything. Like, I've thought of so many different things, either a business coach, a fitness coach, any sports coach, anything. Like, I really like helping and mentoring and molding younger people.
Let's go down that path for a second of when it comes to coaching of, we both have kids, yours a little older than mine, but as, you grow up and see them in sports and probably experience a lot of different coaching philosophies, what's one thing as a parent and kind of having that coaching mindset background, what's one thing you're instilling, with your boys on whether it's sports, life, mindset, what's 2 or 3 things you're harping on them for?
Absolutely, hands down, number one is no excuses. Like, own your mistakes. So accountability, all in the same realm. So I will get so mad if anyone gives me an excuse on anything. I'm like, mistakes are okay. Own them. How are we going to be better after that? Like, that's my just absolute number one. After that, I don't even know because that's like drives so much.
If that's the only thing that
I think time management, things like that. Following through with your commitments, but yeah, just like accountability is just really big for me.
I forget who I was talking to, but their policy on their team was the no hands up policy. So if you're like, you're always looking and just like, it wasn't me, it's somebody else. Like, just remove that. And I think that goes along with exactly where you're saying no excuse. Like, stuff's gonna happen.
Yeah.
There's always gonna be
not complaining about refs. That happens too. Which my oldest is a ref now too, so he's better at not complaining. But mine never really have, but if you hear that they start getting groupthink from their friends, they complain about a ref, and I'm like, you should have scored more points, and then it wouldn't have been a problem. So I'm sure that speaks to your heart.
I'll reserve my judgment as a ref of how much I appreciate that, and wish coaches, players, and parents all did that. But I think that's a hard thing to tell not only just youth or kids, but adults. Being accountable for actions, decisions.
And listening to your coach, I think that's number one. So many parents want to try and coach.
Jump in.
And for sure, we know nothing about hockey. Neither of us played. But just in general, like, what did your coach say? And you're going to have different coaches, and they're going to have different philosophies, but you should listen to your coach.
Yeah, very good. I like both of those. So as we, again, come to a close here, anything for the audience of what them to know about Best Fit CFO, where they can find you? Anything, if you're just thinking these things, I'm sure you'd be happy to talk to people in the real estate space or anything, but anything to share with the audience as we wrap up here.
Yeah, so we're really looking to work with anyone with growth plans. You're growing big and fast, and you need help understanding things and making strategic decisions and kind of bringing that corporate leadership down into your business. And then you can find us on all the socials. We got Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and then our website's bestfitcfo.com.
Awesome. Thank you for the time. Thanks, everyone, for joining in. We'll catch you next time on Beyond the Policy. Thanks for hanging out with me on Beyond the Policy. If you got something out of today's conversation, pass it along to a friend, client, or colleague who might enjoy it too. You can always connect with me through the show notes or on LinkedIn. And remember, the best coverage always starts with the right conversations. Until next time, be better.